Welcome to Gutter Trash Specialsode. My name is Eric. So as the listener might know, last week we announced that there would not be a new episode this week because my co-host, my heterosexual life partner, is a hippie pinko commie, and he has left these United States of America. He has become a traitor to our country and has left me in the lurch here, and so I just couldn't sit idly by. So I have decided to continue on without him. I hope he rots in hell. So, while figuring out the new direction for Gutter Trash, I've decided that I'm going to have a rotating cast of guest hosts, and so here for the very first episode of the brand new Gutter Trash, I have brought in one of my closer friends, Mark Brownstein. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm glad that I was able to help you in this time where Jason turned his back on you and your listener.
And the country.
Yes. I mean,
cannot forget about that part.
He is a terrible person.
Yes.
This show is going to be better now without him.
I believe so.
And this show is going to be the top-rated listened to episode. We're going to gain 2 listeners after this. 2 whole listeners.
That would be amazing. And I think really, viewers might not be so wrong. I think at this point I can't think about this as we anymore. I think I need to maybe think about doing this as a video cast.
Yeah.
Now that I'm not going to have that ugly mug.
We'll just call him the traitor.
Well, he is the traitor. I mean, yeah.
Let's just call him the traitor.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what he is.
He has turned his back on our government in this trying time. I mean, we've had so many disasters in the past couple months here.
Yeah.
That, I mean, it's just bullshit that he would just turn tail and run like a coward.
He's a coward. That's a good term for that man. Coward.
Jesus Christ.
And now we're going to have to get another Veggie Dog Saturn about him running to Canada in our time of need.
God damn it. Now I'm just so worked up. I
know.
You mentioned the comic thing.
I know.
He could be spending his time, helping rebuild America.
Yeah.
But instead, no. Like you said, he is going to go and make his dumb fucking comics.
Yeah.
About Canada.
Yeah.
You know what?
They can keep him. They can keep him and his comic books.
I hope he gets stopped at the border. If he ever even thinks about trying to come back.
Ah, God. The horror of that man coming back it's just not worth thinking about.
No, it's not.
It's not.
Oh, man.
I mean, I'm sure Brian right now is upset. He's listening to this and he's upset.
Right? He's crying right now.
This is ridiculous.
Brian John Mitchell is crying tears of blood.
We're sorry, Brian.
We are. We thought we were a family here.
Yep.
We thought that we had a special connection. Not just, me and Brian John Mitchell, but me, Jason, and Brian John Mitchell.
He betrayed you all.
Yes.
All of you.
Yes. Oh. And I know Brian can think a little liberally sometimes, but I really hope that he reconsiders some of his stances, especially when it concerns what Jason has been doing.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure Jason's out. Brian's got a smart smart brain. He knows that Jason's out.
Uh-huh.
I mean, why give him the time of day?
Well, it still is my show.
Yeah.
So, it's a given that Jason is completely out.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, Brian accepts the new status quo.
I think so.
and doesn't fight against it.
No.
Because there's just no point to it anymore. There's no more Jason Young.
No. And honestly, the quality of the show is going to go up now that Jason's gone.
I really feel that is going to happen, yeah.
I mean, you could get anybody in here. Jeremy Hoyt could come in here and do a better job.
I could get a Jeremy Hoyt. I could get a Steven Alexander.
Josh Weinberg.
I could get a Josh Weinberg.
I mean, there's so many possibilities.
I could even get a Joe Grudenwald.
Oh, man.
And that is a get.
That is a get. That's in.
I could even possibly get a Matt Brassfield.
It's possible. It's possible.
But
he's in demand now.
Huh?
He's in demand now.
He is in demand. But I do thank you, Mark Brownstein, for coming by.
Oh, no problem. No problem at all. I'm glad I could be here to point out Jason Young and all of his bullshit that he's putting everybody through.
It is absolute bullshit.
Who's going to sell magic cards to kids at Mavericks?
Nobody now.
Yeah. You know where he's at? In Canada.
Fucking Canada.
Trying to get free health care. What an asshole.
American children. American teenagers.
Yep.
American young adults.
Yep.
Are all wanting to buy Magic the Gathering cards this weekend.
And they can't.
And they can't. Right now, as we speak, they are pounding on the door at Mavericks.
Yep.
Looking for Magic the Gathering.
Yep.
And there's no one there to sell it to them.
No. I mean, who's going to trade the Black Lotus for him?
Nobody now.
Nobody.
Nobody now.
Because that asshole is in Canada.
Yep.
God. This is ridiculous.
I'm disgusted. I thought it would be cathartic to get this all out.
No.
But no, I've disgusted myself even further.
It makes my heart hurt.
It makes my heart hurt as well.
I mean, just to think of the betrayal. I mean, I don't even want to talk about him anymore.
Okay.
I mean, I think I'm done talking about that, man.
That sounds good. Well, I'm going to go ahead and say thank you for stopping by.
No problem.
And I'm going to bring on my next guest.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Matt Brassfield to the show.
Oh, thanks, Mark. Hey, everyone. It's Matt Brassfield. Thank you.
Hey, Matt Brassfield.
Hey.
We were just talking about you.
Yeah. I heard. I was in the waiting room and I heard all about this. Mark, good guy.
He is a very good guy.
Mark is a good guy.
He's got a lot of opinions about a Jason Young.
Oh, I heard. But, I mean, I can't say I disagree with what you all are saying about him.
Right,
so,
right.
I mean.
But I think, we should just go ahead and leave it alone now. And just continue on.
It's better to forget.
Like the annoying graphics on the internet says, keep calm and carry on.
Yes. Because the more we talk about him, the more power he has over us.
Exactly.
And
we don't want that anymore.
No. Young doesn't have no power.
Jason is essentially raping this show.
Yes.
By his non-presence.
Yes.
So we have to take that power back.
Take it back.
Taking it back.
Because we're gonna do a show today.
Right.
Now.
We watched a thing.
Yes, we did.
So I decided to have you on. I asked you if you had any suggestions. You suggested a lot of stuff that I did not ever want to watch.
Yep.
But you made one suggestion that really appealed to me.
It piqued your interest.
Yes, it did.
In the year, let's just say, in the summer of superheroes, this movie piqued his interest.
Yes. Let's be honest. I don't think there's been a summer without superheroes in like
quite
10
a while.
years.
Yeah, quite a while.
But there are some superhero movies coming out. I will see most of them.
Yes, same here. I probably will see them all. I mean, there's a lot of good ones. It looks like,
Iron Man 3 came out a couple weeks ago. Man of Steel is coming out. The Wolverine is coming out.
Kick-Ass 2.
Kick-Ass 2. That is the one that I'm iffy on. I liked the first one. But I did see the trailer for that one yesterday. And I'm not sold on it. So I think that one's going to be a wait and see for me.
Sin City 2 is also this year.
That's also not a superhero comic, though.
It's still a comic.
Yeah. Is it this year?
Yeah, it's supposed to be out this fall, I believe.
Okay, all right. Well, I know Thor is coming out in November.
Yeah.
But that is not this summer. In fact, that is actually technically winter. No, I guess it's not
fall.
actually. It's still fall.
Fall. Yeah.
I'm an idiot. But yes, strictly superhero though.
Yeah.
Iron Man, Man of Steel, Wolverine, Thor, Kick-Ass.
Kick-Ass. Yeah.
Is that about it?
I think that's about it.
Okay. Like I said, I'll see most of those, and then I'll probably just wind up seeing Kick-Ass on DVD.
I'll probably see Kick-Ass. I've been doing a whole every Wednesday seeing 2 movie thing for the blog, so I'm sure I'll see it.
Some of us don't have that luxury.
Well, luckily I make my own schedule at work, so I can schedule myself to be off on those Wednesdays.
It pays to be the boss, doesn't it?
Yes, very much so. It's $5 movie day. I'm off that day.
Unfortunately, I don't get too much chance to watch movies, and also the listener knows me and movie theaters don't have much luck.
I was hearing about this. I was hearing about a lot of this.
Yeah. So I do generally. I'm very selective about what I see at a theater and when I go see it.
Of course.
So I definitely, especially like these big tentpole movies, which I do want to see.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like the aforementioned ones and a few others. You know, a Star Trek.
The Great Gatsby.
The Great Gatsby.
I'm sure you're excited for that.
It's a musical, right?
Yes, I think so.
The listener knows I love a musical.
Yep. So you're going to be there for that one.
I may actually do that like a midnight showing.
Wait in line.
Yeah. Although, didn't that open today, technically?
Probably.
Yeah.
So you want to go right now? IMAX 3D, maybe.
Oh,
Great Gatsby and IMAX 3D.
It is 12:30 a.m., so we're out of here. So wow, this may be the second latest I've ever recorded an episode.
Nice.
Yeah.
I didn't set a record, but I came close.
You came close. There was, I want to say it was Miller's Crossing, where Jason and I, we had done a comic episode early in the evening, and then afterwards decided, let's just go ahead and do the movie episode too, since we had it here. And did not start recording till like anywhere between 1 and 3 in the morning.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we're dumb.
Well, you mentioned him again, though, so that's why I said wow.
Well, it's going to be hard not to mention him. He was on this show for 200-some episodes. So, I mean, he is a part of the show's history.
Yeah.
I
history is the key word. History.
Exactly. Yes.
We're sorry.
Moving forward.
Exactly.
We'll try to build something new.
Yes, that's right.
All right.
He'll have tons of special guests. I mean, that's going to be the best part.
Yes. So in this, so like 4 superhero movies.
Mm-hmm.
We watched quite a special superhero movie today.
A very special CBS special, to be exact, movie.
It was a TV movie called Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange. The man had a porn stash, and it had one of the greatest soundtracks to any made-for-TV movie.
I'm gonna say it had one of the greatest soundtracks. Just done.
Ever.
You can take your Star Wars and your John Williams, and you can shove them up your fucking ass.
Yep.
Because this one had Paul Chiahara doing some of the funkiest funk I've ever funked in my life.
Very psychedelic.
It's great.
Very psychedelic.
Honestly, if you can track down a copy of this movie on VHS, it is worth watching just for the soundtrack.
Yes. This honestly, the soundtrack actually really helped this movie.
Oh yeah.
As far as like and it was very appropriate in spots. Like, nothing seemed out of place with the music.
Oh, that's not true.
See, I thought it was very, like, for the time and for the scenes, I thought it worked. Like, I really thought the soundtrack actually worked for a lot of it.
I did not.
Really?
No, yeah. Cause it's, just scenes of people, like, walking down a street and it's like,
yeah, but see, that's like Shaft.
Well, but this movie is not Shaft. Dr. Stephen Strange may try to be a ladies' man, but he is no John Shaft.
Did it not also kind of have a 70s porn feel to it?
Oh, yeah.
Like, just the way it was shot and the way that it would, like, freeze frame on people and slow motion boobies jiggling. And,
yeah.
I mean, they really went for it.
There are a lot of jiggling boobs in this movie. And that is also another reason to watch it. Yeah, this, I don't know if it's just, the quality of the source material. Cause clearly we're not watching a remastered, edition of this thing. This is, gotta be 7th generation, bootleg. Cause, even at the end, there's tracking issues on the DVD.
Well, that was the source material had a problem.
Right. One of the sources. One of the many copies of the VHS tape that the DVD was made from.
But how did you feel, what was the actor's name that played Doctor Strange?
Peter Hooton.
How do you feel about Peter Hooton's performance?
I'd like to think that it gives Wooden a bad name.
I was going to say, that's the way I felt too. Very one-dimensional.
Yeah.
And they would do those weird, like, zoom shots onto his face, and he had, like, the most blank expressions ever.
Yeah, he does not emote.
No.
Usually it's, well, okay, I'll give him this. There's a subtlety. There is a subtle difference between him, staring blankly at something and being happy, or staring blankly at something and being surprised.
Yeah, very. You really have to study his facial features to tell the difference between the two.
He's got, he doesn't have dead eyes, but, they are mostly blank and expressionless. And yeah, his mouth never really, moves.
No.
He does have an amazing porn stash.
And weird curly hair.
And weird, 70s Jew fro. And, he's got that butt chin thing going on for him, too.
Yeah.
He's a handsome dude.
Yeah. I'd say devilishly handsome.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder if what he came from, that they hired him for that, because clearly, just like all those CBS things, they always used it for a launching pad for a possible TV show.
Right, yeah. This is, a backdoor pilot.
Oh, yeah. So it makes you wonder, like, what they saw in him to cast him as, like, this master of the mystic arts.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, what was it about Peter Hooton, or whatever the hell you say, however you say his name? What was it about him that made them go, you know what? I need some Peter in this movie.
I'm gonna do something that I hardly ever do on this show, and I'm actually gonna look him up.
We're gonna look up Peter here.
I want to see if he did anything before this movie, or even after.
Yeah, because it makes you wonder. And it makes you wonder if this would have taken off, would Doctor Strange, been in like a Hulk episode? Would he have been in one of the Spider-Man episodes for CBS?
Right.
It makes you wonder what their actual what they really wanted to do with this character. Or was this pilot, you were telling me that it went up against Roots.
Right.
Like, so that, to me, it almost feels like they didn't have any faith in it. Because, Roots was a huge deal.
Well, the movie aired on CBS on September 6th, 1978. It went up against Roots.
On a Wednesday night,
On a Wednesday night. But, at the time, it's the 70s, the late 70s. TV was a much different animal than it is now.
Very much so. Very much so.
I don't know if there was cable then or not, but,
probably not.
It was definitely, your three big networks and then maybe some UHF channels.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if Roots was, Roots was a new miniseries, I would assume, at the time as well.
Yeah.
So it's not like they knew that.
But wasn't it based on a book?
It was
like
based
a very,
on a book, yeah.
very popular book too.
Right. Well, Doctor Strange is
Comic
a very,
book.
very popular comic book
True.
that, in the 60s was very big with like the counterculture and hippies and then the psychedelic, crowd.
And riding the success of the Hawk. I mean,
Right,
too.
yeah, right.
Because, the Hawk didn't do great ratings, but at least had solid ratings.
It lasted 4 or 5 seasons.
Exactly. So, it makes you wonder, maybe they did think they had something, or
Right.
maybe they wanted it to fail. You know what I mean? Like, once they got it back, maybe they weren't impressed, and they were like, well, if the ratings are good, then we'll sign it on.
Well, that's the thing. Like, and this is not against you or anything like that, but I do hear sort of that phrase a lot, especially on the internet. It's like, oh, they wanted this to fail. I don't think that anybody wants anything to fail. Well, like, they went into Doctor Strange thinking, this is good. They want it to be good. They want it to be the best that they can. Nobody sets out for failure.
I think DC did, Warner Brothers did with Jonah Hex, though. Because they put that against like big blockbusters at the time, and I think they knew that was going to get slaughtered. But I think they were hoping that they could at least make a little cash on it, because that movie should have came out like in a January,
Right.
like your dump off period where you can make some money on movies that is not going to be blockbusters, but instead they still put it up against like big stuff. And to me, I some of the times, because, they can use it as write-offs, they can use it for stuff like that by saying, well, hey, we invested this amount of money into this and it did terrible. And,
Right, but, I don't think that they set out to make a failure out of it.
Of course. Yeah, I think at first when they were making it, of course they wanted it. And then once they watch it and then they go, well.
Right, nobody involved with any production wants it to be a failure.
No.
Or wants it to be bad. They're all doing the best that they can, given what they had.
Well, what do you think on, because you hear all those stories about like the Roger Corman Fantastic Four, that they purposely made it as low budget as possible so that they could, shelf it so that guy could keep the rights on something like that. But then the cast thought it was coming out.
Well, that's a different thing, I think. Because again, the cast, obviously went into it thinking,
we got something,
right? And with that, it's
Moneymen.
Well, it's Moneymen, but at the same time, they're thinking, okay, well, we do this as quickly as possible, and then we'll still keep the rights, and then we can go back and redo it. Later with a better budget and more time and preparation.
And just what they did.
Well, they tried.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But they got the bigger budget, they got the bigger backing, and
right. But then still failed to produce anything out of it.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, hell, the way the Superman rights have been tied up for the past decade, it's like, I haven't seen a trailer for it, but I am going to see Man of Steel. But, at the same time, Man of Steel is a movie that was made purely out of panic to try to keep the rights. Because, I think, during the whole lawsuit thing with the Siegel family, or the Schuster family, I can't remember who was.
I think Siegel.
Yeah. They were, DC, Warner Brothers was told, they had to make, at least start production of a new Superman movie by 2011, and so that's where Man of Steel, came from. But at the same time, I think that everybody involved is trying to make the best thing that they can.
Oh yeah, of course.
And people seem to be excited for it, and I'm going to see it anyway because I see movies. Anyway, I've had something I was going to say about Doctor Strange, but you went off on this whole tangent, and I've completely forgotten.
Was it about Peter?
I was about that, but something else. Oh yeah, just going up against Roots.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at the time, early September, was the start of the new season.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't think there was any way they could have predicted how big a hit Roots was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
But it just happened to be, that.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was the start of a brand new season for all of the networks. So, they had no idea what was going to happen.
And it makes you wonder, too, what was the actual ratings for Doctor Strange compared to Roots?
I tried to look it up, but I couldn't find anything like that.
I don't know if back then if they really kept...
I'm sure they did.
But it probably is not as common as it is now, where everything's down to the numbers.
I mean, I can, find out what the ratings were for, something that aired tonight.
Yeah. And back then, it probably was important, but not as important as it is now.
Right. So Peter Hooton did quite a bit of stuff before Doctor Strange.
Oh, nice.
His first credit is from 1969. Just apparently little bit parts in television programs. Like one episode deals, a couple roles in some movies. He was in the original Inglourious Bastards.
Peter Hooton.
Yeah. Doctor Strange. And then did a couple of things through the early 80s. Took a little bit of a break until the late 80s, and then 1990 is his last movie until 2013 and 2012.
Oh, wow. So he's back.
Yeah, he's making a comeback.
Peter is making his comeback.
Because he's also the producer on both of those things. That was listed for last year and this year. Soul Eater and House of Blood, whatever those are.
Oh, wow. So it sounds like horror films. Like he's getting into the horror film market.
Matt's got a boner now. He's a producer and starring in these things.
Well, good for him.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? That he's still out there. I mean, like you said, he's very wooden and stuff, but I think he really tried. Like,
oh yeah,
you could tell. Like, I think he liked playing Doctor Strange.
Yeah,
it's just I don't think he maybe got Doctor Strange. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I think that might have been the problem. Like, if he hadn't done something sci-fi-ish and fantasy-oriented before, he might not have known how to pull it off.
Or even, read the comic or anything.
Exactly,
like that,
exactly.
And, like, this is a thing. Like, people, like comic fans especially, like, whenever a comic book movie is announced, they're like, well, that guy doesn't even know anything about the comics. Well, it's because he's an actor and doesn't necessarily need to.
Yeah.
But I think that if you accept a role, then you should probably at least research a comic.
Yeah, research it a little bit.
But yeah, I mean, that doesn't mean that, do you think Hugh Jackman ever gave a shit about Wolverine before he took the role?
No, probably not at all.
Yeah. And guess what? That's perfectly fine. Do you think he gives much of a shit about Wolverine in the comics now?
No.
As long as the character is still viable and he's still allowed to play it, I think Hugh Jackman is like one of those guys that, he's like, he's super grateful for the chance in the role that he got because it made his career.
Yep.
He's down with it, but, I don't think he's not rushing to the comic shop every Wednesday to buy new Wolverine comics.
Is the new Wolverine Origins in?
Right, yeah. Or ever. And why should he? Because that's not his thing. He's an actor.
Well, I think that's one of the biggest things, especially on something like Doctor Strange. A lot of die-hard, hardcore comic fans always look at this kind of stuff with, like, a magnifying glass so they can find any little flaw and stuff. Yeah. But it's like, just sit back, relax, and enjoy it. Like, if there's something really, especially okay, let me put it this way. If they change something about a character that you feel so deeply about, like if they made a Hawk movie, like I'm a huge Hawk and Captain America fan.
Right.
And if they changed, like, they made a Hawk movie and the Hawk was purple well, of course I'd be pissed. Like,
Right.
that's not the Hulk. What are you doing? But if they change the Hulk's pants and it's not purple and it's,
Right.
you know what I mean? It's a dark blue. Do I really care? No. I
Right.
don't give a shit. You know what I mean? It's still the Hulk. Whatever.
Well, I would even argue that even if they changed his skin color to make him purple, that if it was still the Hulk, then, you know, that's just a cosmetic change. And
Yeah. Stupid.
it's dumb that they would do that, because, you know, everybody knows that the Hulk is green.
Yeah, exactly. Or gray.
Or
Green
gray. Yeah, or even
I could accept the gray.
red.
Yeah. I could accept that.
But, you know, if they made it so that the Hulk was, you know, running around eating people and, you know...
Wasn't muscular, was a skinny guy.
Or that, or, you know, or if Bruce Banner was just, you know, a fucking dick.
Yeah.
You know, just going around raping boys, and, you know, then, you know, like fundamentals of the character, when
Are
they
gone.
change that,
Yeah.
then that's something to get upset about.
Yeah.
But, you know, little changes I don't think are anything to get,
Nah.
you know, uptight about, but, you know, comic fans tend to do that a lot.
Yeah, because like the Fantastic Four is a prime example. The, 2004, I believe, is when they made the one with Jessica Alba and...
Something like that, yeah.
And again, seeing it in the theaters when it first came out. Is it a great movie? No. Did I have fun seeing it in the theaters? Yes. You know what I mean? It served its purpose. I sat there, I watched it, I ate popcorn, I watched a superhero film, and I was done with it. And I had fun watching it, you know. Was there flaws? Yeah, there's a lot of flaws in that movie, you know what I mean? But I still had fun watching it, and I didn't go in there going, oh, Ben Grimm's too small, he's not tall enough, oh, Jessica Alba's too young, this is stupid, you know, come on.
I agree with you in some aspects of that. Like, you know, like the cosmetic aspects. You know, like, yeah, who cares, you know, about the age of you know, Sue Storm or the size of Ben Grimm. What I do care about, though, is that those movies were fucking terrible.
Well,
and Jessica Alba is a dead-eyed fucking zombie.
We're back on this.
Could not act her way out of a wet paper bag, even with a gun to her head.
We've had this discussion in the store I work about her being a dead-eyed zombie.
Oh, yeah. I do not like her at all. She is terrible. But, you know, I give it to both, you know, Michael Chiklis and Chris Evans in those movies. They're great.
Oh, Michael Chiklis I think was perfect as Ben Grimm in the thing.
Yeah.
Just the whole mannerisms, and when he was sad, you got it. You know what I mean? Like, it was a good representation.
Right.
Just like this Peter Hooton, he tried so hard, he just couldn't get that hump. Right. You know what I mean? To get over, to make it where you were like, well, this is really a stupid-ass movie.
Right.
You know what I mean? But, man, he's trying. He got to the point where you were just, like, almost, like, laughing at him and not with him. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I mean, we spent the entire time making fun of him. And, you know, it's a gutter trash tradition to not talk during the movie.
And we broke that rule for this one.
Yeah. Because I think if I would have sat here in silence watching this thing, I probably would have just gotten up and hit you.
Well, it's one of those things where I think you described it best when we were about halfway over the movie, and you said, like, man, like that whole first part was like a hospital drama.
Right.
And like literally that's what it is. Like the whole beginning part of this movie, while it does have some of the fantasy elements and superhero elements, but my God, it's like an episode of ER.
Yeah. Like a really boring one.
Yes, from like the 70s where like they had only like 2 sets. You know what I mean? Like that's what the movie was at first. And you're waiting for something.
Right.
And then they keep showing this ridiculous cutscenes of a character falling over a railing.
Right.
And they do like these close-up shots of this goofy old guy making these goofy faces.
Right.
I mean, it's just laughable, but it's enjoyable because it's laughable. But by no means, in my opinion, is this a good movie.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Not at all.
Like most of the CBS movies, like made-for-TV movies, especially to do with superheroes, at least had some sort of element of like, oh, okay, this is entertaining, or, you know, especially like, I'm sure like you probably did too. A lot of the Hawk ones I watched when they aired. You know, the ones that I was old enough to really remember.
Right.
Like, you know, the first one I wasn't old enough to remember. But
I think I wound up taping them all.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And they were enjoyable. They're flawed, but they're enjoyable. And, every time the Hawk got on the screen, you were, oh, yeah, this is awesome. Or, when they announced, oh, Thor's going to be in this one. Oh, Thor,
Right.
This one just, I don't know, like...
Well, it's the problem of the origin story, I think.
True, very true.
I mean, really, at this point, though, I guess, the Hulk was a TV show at this point. Mm-hmm. Were the Spider-Man things, had they aired by this point?
I think so, or they were just getting ready to.
Okay.
It's probably close to the same time, and I think it was the same time as the Captain America pilots, too. Right. I think it was all there. You know what I mean? They were following each other pretty closely.
Because I was watching this and I kept thinking about it. It's like, I guess, I have a problem, I think, with origin stories, especially in the current crop of superhero movies, mm-hmm. that I don't know that they're necessary. And it's just why, the Amazing Spider-Man movie that came out last year, mm-hmm. I enjoyed that movie a lot.
I did too.
I thought it was really good. I think it was actually better than some of the Raimi ones.
Yeah.
All of them in some aspect.
Yeah. I think it's a better movie than the Raimi ones by far.
Yeah. But the one thing it didn't need was to retell the origin.
Yeah.
The new Superman movie is coming out. Apparently, it's going to be another retelling of his origin. And then we've just gone through 3 Batman movies, mm-hmm. where the first one was a retelling of his origin.
Yeah.
It's not
necessary.
Yeah, it's not necessary, I think. And I think, obviously, Marvel is now working towards a Doctor Strange movie.
Yeah.
And I kept thinking, it's like, man, I hope that they don't do an origin story.
I bet they do.
Oh, I'm sure they will, because it is an obscure character.
That a lot of people, won't probably know who he is.
Right, yeah. So, there is that desire, but I think that, because, okay, let's put it this way. Any other movie that has ever come out in existence that is not a superhero movie, those aren't origin stories.
No.
Die Hard wasn't an origin story about how John McClane got to be where he was.
Yeah, or how he became a cop or anything.
Right, yeah.
He just was a cop.
Exactly, yeah. So, I think it would be awesome if they made a Doctor Strange movie that he's just Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can understand, again, obscure character, there is a complexity to it. Mm-hmm. That flashback,
exactly,
like a flashback sequence.
I think the Hulk movie did it perfect. The Incredible Hulk one, where just in case if you didn't get the origins, they showed it just in the opening credits.
Yeah,
why the credits rolled, you got the whole story there.
Right.
Bam, right into the story. He was already on the run. He was already been the Hulk. That was perfect.
I think with that, with Spider-Man, with Superman, with Batman. If you feel the need to recap their origins, do it in the opening credits, because those are all so simple, and also the most widely known ones.
Oh, of course. Like, who's going to go to a Batman movie in this day and age, honestly?
Right.
Even little kids know the origin of Batman at this point.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you don't need to show it because everybody already knows it.
Right.
People already know that Spider-Man was bitten by a radioactive spider.
Right,
we don't need to see it and take up 60 minutes of an hour and a half movie. You know what I mean?
Right,
with that. I mean, that's not necessary.
Right. And on the Viewmasters podcast, we reviewed All-Star Superman, the Superman animated DVD, which is based on the comic. Mm-hmm. That comic is great. The movie was Mm-hmm. But the one amazing thing about that comic is the very first issue, the very first page, 4 panels, 8 words, Superman's origin. I mean, it's that easy.
Yeah.
But Doctor Strange is a little more complex with his origin.
A little bit.
There's a lot more to it than just that can be summed up pretty easily.
Yeah.
And in fact, like in this movie, it was just sort of
Well, they didn't even
oversimplified almost.
Yeah, because they didn't really ever explain so much. And yes, they change a lot about from the comic to TV screen.
Right,
You know,
yeah.
the whole, him being a surgeon is non-existent.
Right, he's
and
a
this one, he's
psychiatrist.
just, and he's just a doctor, basically.
Right,
you
yeah.
know, it's just odd that they chose to make it as simple as they did, but yet draw it out as long as they did.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that was the strangest part about it.
I think it's an hour into this movie by the time he makes it over to the Sanctum Sanctorum or whatever the fuck it's called.
Yeah. And what's really weird is there's like, maybe, I don't know, what would you say, 15 minutes, probably less than that, where he actually questions, like when he first finds out that he's supposed to be selected for all this and that he gets put in a trance, he doesn't really question it.
Right.
And it seems really awkward because like this old dude like lures him to his house and he's telling him like, oh, this ring was given to you by your dad because you've been this chosen one.
Right.
And he doesn't question it.
No, yeah, not
He's
at
just
all.
like, oh, really? You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, he's so accepting of it. Like,
Right.
like it's an everyday occurrence that some crazy old guy tells him that he's got magical powers.
Right.
Like, oh, cool, I got magical powers. Cool.
And that could just be the, lack of acting ability on the
Yes.
part of Peter Hooton.
And then when he does question it, it's funny because then he's like, he saves this girl's life that he's supposedly in love with that he just meets who
Right.
doesn't even have her memory. And like, they're like, he saves her and then he gets there and he's like, oh, I don't want the power.
Right, yeah, he turns it down almost immediately.
And it's like, wait a minute, you just used the fucking power to
Right,
save the
yeah.
girl.
Yeah, this old guy just proved to you that all this stuff is real and that you could do this. Then you're just like, nah. And then you wind up, he winds up getting caught in this trap, basically, where, again, unquestionably, he just accepts everything as happening.
Yeah.
And he's able to defeat the villain. And then he finds out that this entire thing was manipulated by the old man.
Yeah.
He's just like, meh, okay.
Yeah. Actually, I wasn't in any trouble.
Yeah. It was like,
Oh, okay. I'll just call you master anyway.
yeah, I guess I'll be the Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah. And we should mention that the villains in this is Morgan Le Fay
Right.
and basically Satan.
Yeah.
I mean, that's who the bad guys are. And Satan is this ridiculous, blown-up puppet that looks like a deformed, retarded version of Godzilla.
I would say he's like if Godzilla and Beaker had a baby.
Yes. It would be Satan and Doctor Strange. And he had this like ridiculous like voice. It was like this proper voice when Satan would talk. It was just overly ridiculous.
Morgan Le Fay is played by Jessica Walter, who is probably best known as the mother from Arrested Development, and also the mother from the cartoon Archer.
And she has some major cleavage in this
Oh
movie.
yeah. She was kind of a babe 34 years ago. Yeah.
It's like I was telling you, there was just a hint of Linda Carter in her.
little
What I
bit,
seen.
yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
Linda Carter.
Yeah, but she also still has that sort of stern, hardened kind of look to her that is recognizable from Arrested Developments and even as a cartoon character in Archer.
And I think she does a pretty decent job of playing the character, given terrible lines, absolutely terrible lines throughout it. But again, like you said, her facial features and everything, she can portray the evil witch.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, she does a good job with what she's given.
Right.
And
I think, in any type of movie like this, like anytime you have like these weird, fantastical elements to it, be it this, be it, Lord of the Rings, or just anything like it, the dialogue is always going to be awful, because there's always going to be at least one character who has to say a ton of ridiculous shit.
Yeah. And I think all of them had to say ridiculous shit in this movie. I think they were all given bad lines.
Like, maybe the only person who wasn't was, like, the mean doctor and the meaner nurse.
Yeah. that were just randomly thrown in just to be a pain in the ass to Doctor Strange, who instantly, like I said, is, I don't know, he has the, like, I'm gonna rape you eyes to most of the females in this movie.
It's not so much rape as it is, I am going to gently fuck you against your will.
Yeah, it's true, because he's too wooden to actually be forceful.
So yeah, not a great movie.
Like I said, it's not like it's a terrible movie. Like, it's definitely worth watching to see, like...
I mean, it's fun.
Exactly, exactly.
It's fun in a bad way.
Yeah. Don't expect any major action, because you're not going to get it.
No,
because even the end fight stuff is absolutely fucking lame.
No,
you know what I mean? Like,
it takes about a minute.
Yeah.
And it's 1978 special effects.
Yes.
Or 1978 television special effects.
Yeah, exactly. And like, and don't expect a deep storyline, because there is none.
And at the same time, well, I mean, you know, again, television was a very different beast.
Oh yeah.
At the time, and but you know, this was also setting up a TV show.
Yeah.
That just never happened.
And clearly, at the end of it, they were building up, because Morgan Le Fay is now set free in New York, or where, I think it was New York was where this is taking place. So she's now free in the city and not really, she's answering to Satan, but she's not having to keep going back and forth.
Right.
They lead it up that Doctor Strange, and I guess it would be, the old guy would be the Ancient One, I would assume, and then Wong are like together, and now Doctor Strange has got the power, and clearly it was this girl that he was in love with that lost her memory, had her memory back, and it was like going to be him trying to keep her safe, because the whole end thing where she goes into a trance, watching Morgan Le Fay on TV.
Right.
That was the build-up. It was probably going to be the same plot over and over of her being in trouble,
just
him
like
saving.
The Hulk.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Formulated and just the same old stuff.
Right. So, I've never been a huge Doctor Strange fan. Like I've read a couple of his comics, and I enjoyed the few that I've read. But you know, I've read his origin story a couple different times in a couple different places. How pissed are you if you're Wong?
Yeah. They kind of dog him in this, don't they?
Well, not just this, but like in every other thing I've seen, you know, he's
loyal.
Like, he's loyal. He's like the right hand man to the Ancient One, and yet gets sticked over for, you know, this fucking American piece of shit,
cocky asshole.
Yeah.
In the comics, he's at first when he's the Doctor, he's not a very nice guy.
No, yeah, he's
a dick.
Asshole,
I mean, and so yeah, if you're Wong, yeah, you probably would be a little pissed off, being like, I've been loyal. I'm a nice guy.
Right, yeah.
I got the mystic arts, like I can do some of it.
Yeah.
But you're going to give it to this asshole surgeon who is going to go with the bad guys because, you know, they were going to help fix his hands because remember he had the accident and his hands were all messed up. So yeah, he probably would have been a dick, you know?
But yet still continues to serve, you know, Steve.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, I don't get it. Why, Wong? Why do you do this to yourself?
If we could have Wong call in live, this would be great, but we don't have the capabilities right now.
Nope, I do not have Skype.
It makes you wonder, too, you know, the Hulk and Spider-Man on the TV shows, they never really added bad guys. Like, you never seen, like, any major... Spider-Man never fought Green Goblin, and Hulk never fought any of the Abomination or any of those guys.
Yeah,
it makes
the
you
Hulk
wonder.
Had Jack and McGee.
Exactly.
And random bikers.
Exactly. And just random scuzzbag who's trying to take advantage of the farm.
Yeah.
But it makes you wonder, like, would they have put Dr. Mordred? Would they have, you know what I mean? Would the Doctor Strange, would they have gotten more into it? I mean, clearly they had the Satan stuff.
Right.
So they were having more named bad guys. Even Morgan Le Fay, they were having actual
characters,
named bad guys that were in the Doctor Strange universe. So it makes you wonder, would they have expanded on that? Or would they have just kept it, you know, the same core, or would they expanded?
I'm guessing that they probably would have just kept it as Morgan Le Fay and like her minions or whatever.
Probably.
Yeah, probably wouldn't have had any of the classic Doctor Strange villains or anything like that.
Would have been neat.
Yeah.
And the possibility would have been out there. And it probably would have been a lot easier to do the Doctor Strange guys than it would have done. You know, the Hulk basically would have been impossible for the time for them to make without making it look laughable. I mean, they couldn't do somebody like the Leader or the Abomination or Absorbing Man or any of those guys because it wouldn't have came out on television.
Right.
But, Spider-Man, on the other hand, they could have. I mean, a lot of these guys are just latex suits that you could have slapped on somebody and had them run around.
Right.
I mean, the Atari commercial, if I remember, I think had a guy running for the Atari Spider-Man game, had a guy dressed as Green Goblin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, where the hell was that suit? Just buy that from Atari and put it in the show.
Well, Atari had a lot more money.
True. At that time.
I was reading up on this Doctor Strange movie, and I guess there was an interview at one point with Stan Lee, who was a consulting producer on it.
Mm-hmm.
Said that he was actually pretty proud of how this had turned out.
Oh, that's nice, though.
And he said that, and that's where I read about the Roots thing. He said that he thinks that if it hadn't have gone up against Roots, it may have actually made it to a series.
Mm-hmm.
But he said he became friends with the writer and the director, and consulted on the whole thing, and was relatively happy with how it turned out. He said the Hulk show was also something he was really happy with.
Mm-hmm.
But he said Spider-Man was a nightmare.
I wonder why he turned on Spider-Man. I mean, I'm sure, much like me, you've seen a lot of those. You know what I mean?
I've seen
the
some,
episodes.
but it's been decades.
I mean, the biggest problem with the Spider-Man one is he wasn't in the costume enough. I mean, most people, Peter Parker, whatever. You like Peter Parker, but on Spider-Man, I think he's always one of those characters that you want to see him as Spider-Man. David Banner or Bruce,
Right.
He's more.
Well, he's not Bruce because he's not gay.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
That's why he's David.
Right.
The character and him trying to fight for becoming the Hulk, that's like the drama element of it. And that's interesting, and you can get it. It's like the Jekyll and Hyde. He doesn't want to turn into Mr. Hyde. He doesn't want, because he doesn't know what the Hulk will do. With Peter Parker, I mean, it's like, I'm gonna fail this test. You know what I mean? Like, how interesting would that be week after week, week after week?
Right. Well, the problem with that, though, is budgetary.
Oh, yeah, of course. But, I mean, they don't even have, they could just show the same cutscenes like they did anyway of Spider-Man climbing buildings and stuff.
Right.
All they literally have to do is have the guy in a Spider-Man suit fake punch a dude every once in a while, and it would have been entertaining, you know?
Yeah. What are you gonna do?
They tried.
Yeah. So Doctor Strange. If you get a chance to watch it, watch it.
Yeah.
It's not entirely terrible.
No, it's worth the watch. It's worth at least seeing once. It's probably something you wouldn't want to own in your collection unless you're just a diehard collector of like superhero movies and stuff. Most normal people probably will just want to watch it. You know, me and Eric, of course, will own it.
So let's go ahead and take a break.
Alrighty.
And we will be back.
You made a fool of me, but the broken dreams have got to end.
How's it going?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
I never get to re-intro the show. This is maybe a first for me. I'm not sure.
I was just jamming to some ELO. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean.
Thinking about Doctor Strange as that was playing.
So speaking of superheroes and the Marvels and whatnot, so Iron Man 3 came out about a week ago.
Yeah. Oh.
And both you and I saw it very recently.
Yes, we have.
Not together.
No, he doesnn't like me enough to go to the movies with me.
Nope. Well, you also go while I work.
That's true. That's true.
So yeah, wanna talk a little bit about Iron Man?
Yeah, sure. We might give some spoilers.
I would rather we not.
Okay, so we'll have to dance around some things.
Yeah.
We'll have to dance around some issues.
Yeah. Cause I am very leery about giving spoilers, especially for something like that.
That's this new too. Still
Right,
this new.
yeah. I mean, yeah, it is a week old at this point.
Yeah. Still newborn.
Yeah. So yeah, let's be very, very careful about spoiling most anything, because part of it is that I'm a big fat baby, and I get a little bitchy when things that I am interested in are close to getting spoiled.
Yeah.
And I was kind of a dick to a whole bunch of people that I know about spoilers for things, particularly this movie. And so I would like to at least pay the same respect to others who haven't seen it yet.
Understandable. Yeah, people ruin. I watch Game of Thrones, and people ruin that for me all the time, and post their little shit on their Facebooks and stuff.
Yeah,
it's like, you assholes.
I got to tell you, and I will tell this to the world out there. I use I use Facebook mostly through my computer, the PC or the laptop, and not so much through my phone. But on both those machines, I have an add-on that I use for Facebook, which is called FB Purity. And it allows you to get rid of a whole bunch of stupid shit that Facebook forces on you. And it also allows you to set up a blacklist. So if you don't want to see anybody post about Game of Thrones, you can just type in Game of Thrones, and then all of those posts disappear.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah. FB Purity. I highly recommend it.
I kind of like this.
It is, it streams my feed to look like it used to and not the new timeline thing. It gets rid of everybody's events that I don't want to see. I no longer have to get reminded of everybody's birthdays.
Oh, what? At least my birthday.
Yeah, I don't give a shit.
Yeah, you do.
I don't give a shit.
Deep inside, you care.
I don't give a shit.
He does. September 8th, by the way.
That's 2 days after Doctor Strange aired.
That's right. That was the gift upon me. Granted, I was born a year later, because 79, but it was still, I knew it was in the wings.
Hey, I was, my parents may have watched Doctor Strange with me.
It's possible.
I was a month old or so when that aired.
You should, next episode, you should ask your parents if they watch Doctor Strange.
I will. And they will say, what?
What are you talking about?
So we watched Roots like everybody.
We were watching Roots. And watch your Doctor Strange. Poor Peter Hooten.
Yeah. Just Walter turned out fine, though. She's on a show that's going to be on Netflix, and that's going to disappoint everybody.
Which one? What's that? I'm sure it will.
Hemlock Grove. You don't have Netflix, do you?
I do not.
Okay. Right. I was curious.
I believe in the traditional DVD.
I believe in the traditional DVD, too.
I know you do.
And I get both. I get the traditional DVD, and I get the streaming.
You do the streaming through your PS3, don't you?
Yes. Yeah. And it all works out.
Okay. Makes you happy.
So they have a new exclusive program called Hemlock Grove, which is executive produced by Eli Roth.
Oh, God.
And the first episode was directed by him. And a couple weeks ago, like, it premiered, and it's like all 13 episodes of the season at once. So you can just watch, the
All
entire season in a weekend. And I watched three episodes and declared it to be bullshit and have not gone back to watch anymore to see if it got better or not. Because it was just awful. It's a turd.
It doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
I think, nothing against Eli Roth, but I think a lot of stuff that he's involved in is kind of overrated and just kind of at most of the time.
I liked Cabin Fever. I liked it quite a bit. I never saw either of the Hostel movies that he did. I saw, he was in Death Proof.
Yeah.
I did not like that at all, but I liked Grindhouse for the most part, except for Death Proof.
Mm-hmm. He was in Inglourious Bastards.
He was in Inglourious Bastards, probably the worst part of Inglourious Bastards, but I liked Inglourious Bastards otherwise.
I liked everything besides the Bastards. I know that's weird. Like,
No,
I
it's not about them.
No.
The movie is not about them.
And I think that when they're on the screen, it's kind of, like the whole...
Well, it's a cartoon.
Yeah.
When they're on the screen.
The whole thing with the girl in the movie theater, interesting.
Yeah.
Kept my interest the whole time.
Right.
The moment Brad Pitt would get on there and do his ridiculous accent and all that, I was like, whatever.
Right.
This is Tarantino, typical bullshit,
I liked Inglourious Bastards all the way through. I don't mind the Bastards, but, they're
The weakest link.
the movie is not about them. It's about the woman, and it's about, the Nazi, the Jew
General
hunter.
guy.
Yeah. When the Bastards are on the screen, it becomes a cartoon.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with that. But
It's just, they're out of place.
Yeah.
They really are. With the pacing of the runaway Jew girl and all that, who runs the movie theater, that's very downbeat. You really like her character. You really feel nervous when the Nazis are coming in for her.
Right, yeah.
And then like you said, they bring in Popeye and all these other morons in here doing terrible impersonations, and
right.
Eli Roth doing these ridiculous blank stares, and
Right,
it's like, this is fucking retarded.
He's in a new movie out right now called Aftershock or something like that.
Don't know that one.
I saw a trailer for it when I saw Lords of Salem, I think. He just plays a guy who goes to Brazil, and then there's like this massive earthquake, and then it turns into like a survival horror type thing. I think he produced it, but he didn't direct it. But he stars in it, And I watched that trailer, and I was like, who the fuck keeps putting Eli Roth in stuff?
And then you realize it's Eli Roth putting Eli Roth and stuff.
Right, yeah. and again, I liked Cabin Fever. I wouldn't mind seeing him direct another movie that I might have an interest in.
Mm-hmm.
I certainly don't have an interest in the Hostel movies, but, but apparently he seems to want to be an actor now.
Well, I keep wishing that he would do Thanksgiving, the fake trailer.
Oh, yeah.
Because he acted like he was going to do it, and that it was going to be in the vein of like an 80s slasher film and feel like that 80s slasher. I think that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I don't think he's ever going to do that.
I don't either.
Yeah.
I think it's like one of those things, much like Raimi, where when things get down on him, they go, yeah, I'm thinking about making Evil Dead 4. He's never probably going to make. He keeps saying, and I know he's saying that he's writing it this summer.
Yeah.
They're working on it right now.
I think this time, is actually closer to happening because of the success of the remake.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think, I don't think that he's doing it because he wants to. I think he's doing it now out of some sort of weird obligation, maybe.
To the fans.
Yeah. So I think, again, it may never happen still, but,
Mm-hmm.
I think he is at least, working on it right
Toying
now.
with the idea more.
Yeah.
Because I think he did a fine job. I haven't been a Raimi fan in a while, honestly. The Spider-Man movies, they're all right, but I think they're very overrated when they come to, movies. Like I've seen, I think almost all of them in theaters, and each one of them I was just kind of, after I left, like, that was fun, but they're not great.
I loved the first two. On repeated viewings, they do not hold up very well.
No.
The third one was just awful, but that wasn't because of him.
No. That was just a mess all the way around.
Yeah,
like there was so much stuff wrong, and everyone always says, "Oh, it's the dancing scenes and all that." No, there's
more.
There's just a lot of issues with that movie. And I don't think Raimi's heart was in that movie, and it shows. Yeah. Like, I don't think he really gave a shit. I think it was
because he had all the power taken away from him.
Exactly, and it was just a paycheck at that point.
He wanted to do, the Vulture, and
I heard Craven. I heard it was Craven I heard it was Craven, and he wanted to hire Gerald Butler? Yeah, as Craven. And thinking about it, like, the 300 look, that dude's freaking ripped, and you put that lion thing on him. Yeah. He actually wouldn't be that bad of a Craven.
Yeah. But yeah, like they told him, no, you have to do Venom, and so yeah, it was just a mess.
I heard that same thing. I don't know if it's true. I heard that same thing was with Nolan on this last Batman, that he didn't really particularly want Bane, and they kind of were like pushing that toward him, like.
I haven't heard that at all, but, I have zero interest in that movie, so.
Really?
Yeah.
I actually liked it a lot. It's actually my favorite out of all three of those.
Yeah, never saw it. Haven't seen it yet. Don't really plan on seeing it.
It's good.
Alright, whatever.
It's pretty good.
Okay. So you think?
I liked it.
Yeah, you like Doctor Strange too.
Love Doctor Strange. We were on Iron Man 3.
Iron Man 3. Well, I also wanted to say that I still love Sam Raimi.
Yeah, like I said,
he's disappointed me once.
I really liked his last movie, the Great and Powerful Oz.
Yeah, I really like that.
I went in there and I was like blown away. Like it literally, I'm doing that, whole year-end thing for my blog, and I'm watching all these movies, and still, as of right now, tentatively, it's battling for the number one spot is Oz. Wow. I mean, so it's still, it's still held up. I mean, I really enjoyed it. And again,
I really liked it.
It suffered from the nitpicking, like, this isn't like the original. Well, no shit. You know what I mean? Like, of course it's not going to be like the original, because they can't capture that magic that they had back then. Now, it's not going to happen.
It's also a prequel to that, and it's also taking stuff from the books too.
Exactly.
Which apparently a lot of people don't realize that there are books.
Yeah, that they exist. Yeah, that's what Juliet, my girlfriend, always says. She's like, because when people were bitching about it, she's like, "Do they not realize that it was not a movie first? It's a book series."
Yeah. There's like at least 12 books, if not more. Anyway. Iron Man 3.
We're back to the Iron Man.
Yes. So yeah. What'd you think?
I actually enjoyed it quite a bit. I actually, a lot of people are bitching about it, and there's a lot of people that are praising it highly. So it's definitely one of the first Iron Man movies that I think have met with that much resistance from both sides, where there's people that absolutely are trashing it for reasons that we can't talk about, but then there's the people that are absolutely passionate and like, wow, this was great. I fit more toward I had a lot of fun with it, so I'm not like, yeah, there's flaws, but I thought it was decent, and I put it up there with the other two. I mean, if you like the other two, I think that you will really enjoy it.
I haven't. Well, I mean, like I said earlier, I've avoided pretty much everything about this, up until the moment that I saw it, and I feel like it worked out pretty well for me to do that. Because I was just living in constant fear of spoilers about this movie, and I had honestly thought that like people had ruined it for me, like before I even saw it. Just like little things that I glanced here and there, like, just things that you can't avoid.
Yeah.
Like as much as you try, like,
stumble
something
across.
slips through.
Yeah.
I was pretty much entirely surprised throughout the entire movie.
As was I.
Nothing at any point had ever gotten spoiled for me.
Same.
Okay, my history with Iron Man movies. When I saw the first one, I walked away thinking, wasn't sure if I actually even liked it or not. And like it took me like a couple days of rationalization to
The process of it.
right, yeah. And it was like, I guess I liked it enough, and it's a fun movie. And, I can't deny that. And I think I've seen it once since, and yeah, I like it. Iron Man 2, I walked away from it with more sense of liking it, but apparently I'm like one of the only people that liked it. A lot of people seem to hate that movie.
Which I don't understand why. Like, again, it's fun as shit.
Yeah.
It's absolutely fun.
Right. Iron Man 3 is, like, I walked away from it definitely liking it a lot. It's my favorite one. Of the three, I liked it way more than I liked the other two. I don't know why. I don't know if I could verbalize why I liked it more than the other two.
Was it because, to me on this one, Downey really gets to shine?
Yeah.
Like you can tell they really kind of let him cut loose more, and it seems like he's having, at this point, playing him already 3 times before this.
Right.
I think he's got that groove down now where it actually comes off, like, really fast, and like, that's really his personality.
From the get-go, though, I mean, Robert Downey Jr. is Tony Stark.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there is not much acting going on when he is in these movies. He is just playing himself, just richer, smarter, and with a superpowered suit of armor.
Yeah.
So the first two movies were directed by Jon Favreau, and I think he had a hand in the script on both of those two.
I think so.
This one is written and directed by Shane Black, and I think Drew Pearce co-wrote it. I don't know who that guy is, but I know Shane Black. And Shane Black and Robert Downey Jr. did a movie a couple of years ago called Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, which may be one of my favorite movies of like the last 10 years. It's fucking great. And so I was like, I was going to see this movie anyway.
It's Iron Man
right,
at this point.
But like when I found that out, I was like, really excited. And then like tried to shut myself off from everything just so I wouldn't, have my hopes pinned way too high. And I think their working chemistry together, I think really shone through in this movie. And I think that this movie was a lot funnier than the previous two. And I liked that a lot. I laughed a ton while watching this movie. And like, it's not a comedy, but,
it's his quips. It's the attitude that Downey gives as playing Tony Stark.
Right. And I like that. Like we were just talking about the Batman movies, and then I haven't seen Dark Knight Rises, and that's because I thought The Dark Knight was bad, because it was just such a serious, up its own ass, snooze fest. Excuse me.
See, I actually am probably one of the minorities like you that I actually agree. Like, I'm honestly not a fan of Batman Begins. I actually thought I
loved Batman Begins.
See, I thought it was boring because a lot of it was the origin story stuff, and I thought that they really downplayed the Scarecrow a lot in it, and that was what I was excited about, was the Scarecrow. The second one, I think, was all right, but it was just so chaotic, and it was just like everything was around the Joker because of Heath Ledger passing away, so it became this giant ball of, everyone loves it. Oh, Heath Ledger was my favorite actor, and blah, blah, blah. And his performance is so eerie. His performance is decent. It's not that great.
He's doing an Al Franken impression.
Pretty much. I mean, it's really not that good.
Yeah, it's not groundbreaking or anything. It's just there.
Yeah, and I had fun watching it. Again, I'm not saying like it's a terrible movie.
I am saying it's a terrible movie. I did not have fun watching it.
Actually, the end, the whole end is what made it actually, like, for the most part, I was just kind of, sitting there watching it. The whole, probably, I don't know, last 20 minutes of it is where I actually got more invested in it, and I was more like, oh, okay, this is kind of cool. I like where they're going with this, and I like the twist at the end and all that.
But there was a previous 4 hours that you had to sit through to get to it.
Yeah. Dark Knight Rises, honestly, is my favorite one.
And again, haven't seen it because I disliked The Dark Knight so much. And I realize, they're not bad movies. Christopher Nolan does not make bad movies. No. I do not like them, because I do think that they are so full of themselves and so much into being Christopher Nolan movies. Mm-hmm. And like I found, the Dark Knight to be just a humorless, bore. Mm-hmm. And when I, like, even Batman, I have come to this realization over the past couple years that I like a well-adjusted Batman. Mm-hmm. I like a Batman that can get over himself and realize that, it's ridiculous that I'm running around in tights and I have all these bat gadgets and I have a little kid in, tights, in bright yellow colors. And
So what you're saying is you like the Adam West / George Clooney Batman.
Yes.
That's what you prefer.
Uh-huh.
You don't like the Christian Bale, Michael Keaton Batman, the brooding.
I like the Michael Keaton Batman a little bit better than I like the Christian Bale Batman. Christian Bale is a great actor who I thought did a terrible job playing Batman. Did a pretty good job playing Bruce Wayne, though.
Okay, now you piqued my interest. Give me your rundown of the best to worst Batman.
Best to worst Batman.
Live action. And you don't have to count the earlier serial stuff. You're talking from West to Bale.
Okay. And now are we talking... Because Bale does a good Bruce Wayne, who does a piss-poor Batman.
We're talking Batman.
Batman. In the costume, ears, cape, that guy.
We're talking Batman.
All right. I gotta go Keaton, West, Kilmer, Clooney, Bale.
Wow. See, mine would go, mine's gonna be kind of almost the opposite. Mine's gonna go Bale, Bale, West, Keaton, Kilmer, Clooney. I think Clooney was probably the worst.
I have recently watched the two Joel Schumacher Batman movies, and I find them to be a fun, good time.
This is again, I know people are probably going to be like, "What? Batman and Robin? I like it way better than Batman Forever."
Yeah.
I can't stand Batman Forever.
You know what? Because I watched Batman and Robin and then I watched Batman Forever. I watched them backwards. Mm-hmm. And I kind of like Batman and Robin a little bit better.
Jim Carrey as the Riddler, it's just Jim Carrey being Jim Carrey. He doesn't spice it up. Yeah. It's just him doing the same old
Tommy
stick.
Lee Jones as Two-Face
is a joke.
Well, he's doing Jack Nicholson as the Joker.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
That whole movie is terrible. Val Kilmer seems bored, like he doesn't even want to be there.
Right, yeah.
Then they throw in Robin, Chris O'Donnell as Robin, who's just like halfway through, it's like, I don't care, I'm not going to listen to you, you know? It's like, oh my God.
That said, I think they're both better than The Dark Knight.
I don't know on that one for me.
Yep. If I had to rank the movies in order from best to worst, I go Batman Begins, Batman Returns, Batman 66, Batman and Robin, Batman Forever, Dark Knight.
Wow. Mine, I can't think of them all like that quick. Mine would be Batman 66, because I grew up watching it, so I have a lot of attachment to it. Then it would be Dark Knight Rises, Batman, the Burton one. Oh man, Batman Returns probably. Dark Knight. Probably Batman and Robin, Batman Begins, Batman Forever would probably be my bottom. Like, literally, that movie, I seen it on my birthday, at the drive-in with my parents. And that was like, you know, they did a whole birthday thing, and then they were like, hey, let's go, we'll take you to the drive-in at the Belmont Drive-In. Remember that? Yeah. That's where I seen it, and,
It was right down the street from me.
Oh, yeah. And, like, afterwards, you know, my mom and dad are like, did you like it? And I'm like, no. You know, like, not really.
I'm sticking with my thing. But yeah, I like a well-adjusted Batman. I think the Batman Brave and the Bold cartoon is actually like my favorite version of Batman that is out there right now. Because I like a Batman that can be happy and can joke around and quip. And so that's what I kind of like about, you know, the Iron Man movies, you know, is that, I mean, it is the well-adjusted version of Batman, basically.
Yeah, Tony Stark's comfortable with who he is.
Yeah.
He knows that he's kind of an asshole, but he's comfortable with being that asshole.
Yeah. And not resistant to change, to be a better person.
And while he is an asshole, he's still a likable asshole.
Oh, yeah.
And like he still, like you said, he feels bad about some of the times being an asshole.
Yeah.
So he'll try to change things from being that asshole.
Right. And yeah, he's very charismatic, and he's you know, just a fun character to watch and a fun actor to watch, you know, on top of it.
Oh yeah. He deserves his $50 million a picture.
Yeah. And it's like, you know, and yeah, I hope he re-ups his contract, because I would love to see an Iron Man 4 and Avengers 2.
There's absolutely no way Disney's going to let him get away.
But the problem is that Marvel is historically frugal.
Yeah. Well, and they're basically fucking over all these other guys. What's his name? Chris Hemsworth, who plays Thor, and Scarlett Johansson, and Samuel L. Jackson, and all these guys who are making $200,000 a picture, and then they look and see Robert Downey making $50 million the picture.
There's you know, and no offense to any of those people, because you know, I enjoyed them all in their respective movies, and the Avengers.
Oh yeah.
And again, Avengers I thought was really great, and it was a fun big movie, and I loved it a lot. But none of that would be possible without Downey in that first Iron Man movie.
Well, he did that did pave the way.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the one that started it to kick off the whole Marvel universe being one universe.
Right,
and the movies, I mean, that was the kickoff.
I mean, you know, 6 years ago, like, no way in hell could you have ever thought that Marvel would have pulled off what they did.
No, and think about that, 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. I think, when the first Iron Man come out, like 2007, 2008?
Probably 2008, I think.
Yeah. And, I mean, you know, prior to that, you know, we had, you know, superhero movies, and they were popular, and they were going to continue to be made.
Yeah.
But, like, there was no chance in hell that an Avengers movie was going to be made, especially the way that it got made.
Yeah.
Individual movies building to one.
Yeah. Well, and then let alone now, you know, hopefully this is kicking DC's ass into gear to do this Justice League movie.
Well, they're trying, but the problem is that DC, and this is why I partially don't like the Nolan movies, the Nolan Batman movies, except for Begins. And why I do have a fear for Man of Steel is that DC, Warner Brothers, are so ashamed and afraid of the fact that they have superhero characters. Like, you know, because they've got the show Arrow now on the WB, and it's not good. But you know, it's based on the Green Arrow comic, but you know, they don't refer to anything as Green Arrow. You know, he's the Hood. And it's like they don't want to admit that they have, these bright, colorful, characters that kids around the world love. I think part of it comes from the failure of Green Lantern.
Yeah. Which was their own fault.
Right. And the uber success of The Dark Knight. It's like, well, everything has to be as
Batman or Superman.
Well, they already decided that with the animated shit. Because the Wonder Woman direct-to-DVD movie that came out was good. It was like one of the best ones that they put out, but it didn't sell very well. So they're like, well, they canceled like a whole bunch of like other ones that they had planned. Like there was going to be a Batgirl one, there was going to be a Teen Titans, et cetera, et cetera. And now it's like everything has to be Batman or Superman. But now, because of The Dark Knight, everything has to be gritty and realistic and grounded, and all the costumes have to be dark, and the characters brooding, and we're not allowed to have fun. And I think that with the Justice League movie, that's exactly the tone that they're going to take, and it's going to fail.
Yeah, because it needs that fun Avengers feel. Where there was, even during the action moments, there was the comedy with the Hulk, and
right, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there was still stuff that was funny,
right,
and kept it lighthearted, where it was literally a popcorn movie. You sat there eating your popcorn, watching superheroes fight each other and fight other things, and,
and it was good, and it made $1 billion.
Yeah.
And it's like, why isn't DC looking at that and thinking, oh, well, maybe that's the approach we should try to take. Instead they're just like, no, retreat.
Yeah. Back to the drawing board.
Right, yeah. Because, if the Avengers had been a humorless, grounded, realistic thing, it definitely would not have been as successful as it was.
Yeah.
There are now countless of thousands of fangirls out there writing slash fiction about Tony Stark and Bruce Banner because of that movie. And it's because the movie could have fun with itself, and and all the characters and the actors had chemistry with each other, and were able to play off of each other,
and it was good because they put them even in cameos in each other's movies.
Right, yeah,
so Scarlett Johansson already worked with Robert Downey,
right,
and Samuel L. Jackson already worked with, Chris Evans and Robert Downey, everybody mixed, and a lot of them were going in already. Odd man out, of course, being, the Hulk.
Right.
Cause that was his first attempt at it, so. Right. Mark Ruffalo.
Very good in that movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Marvel, I think gets it, which is so weird because their comics are not great.
Well, and they were the ones that struggled.
Yeah.
You gotta think, DC back in the 70s and even through the 80s had the lockdown. They had the Christopher Reeve Superman, which were, Juliet, my girlfriend, were even talking about this. Superman movies were events.
Yeah.
When those were coming out in the summer, that was a big deal.
Right.
I remember Superman: The Quest for Peace coming out, and that was a freaking huge deal.
Right.
When Batman came out, and then Batman Returns, those were big deals.
Right.
And then what was Marvel putting out?
Howard the Duck.
Yeah, and Punisher with Dolph Lundgren, which didn't do
released.
Well. The Captain America movie.
Not ever released.
Exactly. Went direct to video. That's what they were struggling with. The Roger Corman, like we mentioned, the Roger Corman Fantastic Four.
Yep.
They were having all these failures after failures after failures.
Yep.
The only thing that they were remotely connected to, and you're talking a sliver that did anything, was Conan.
Right.
You're talking, and they didn't really have much to do with it, and it was just because they were doing the comics.
Barely a Marvel movie.
Exactly.
In fact, I would say it's not.
No, not at all. But that's what I'm saying. The sliver of success that they would remotely have was a movie that they didn't even really have anything to do with.
Right.
And then Blade helped bring them into the forefront.
Right.
Because the Blade series started doing really good. But, it still wasn't bringing people into theaters like what, the Superman movies did and all the Batman movies. But it was still the glimmer of that hope that they were going to do something.
Well, Blade came in at a time, and I'm an expert on the Blade movies. I think you know that.
You love the Blade movies.
And it's weird because today, like I pointed this out on my Facebook page, like I was reading a review of Iron Man 3 today because now that I've seen it, I'll read a review. And like the very first line of the review is like, well, superhero movies are usually terrible and not witty or clever, but Iron Man 3 is. And I'm thinking, well, fuck, we've had, the Avengers, Thor, Captain America, Iron Man 2, Iron Man 1, two good X-Men movies, at least two good Spider-Man movies, depending on your opinion
of course. But regardless, there's decent, good-humored superhero movies out there.
So, and, like, three fucking successful, huge Batman movies, in the past decade.
Yep.
How many critically acclaimed superhero movies have to come out before a reviewer will not point out how bad superhero movies are?
Yeah, and give them the respect.
Right.
I mean, those critics, what are they basing it on? I mean, the Christopher Reeves Superman movies got great reviews when they came out, especially the first two. The third and the fourth didn't get as much, but the first two got great reviews. The Tim Burton Batman and Batman Returns got great reviews.
I would say at this point now, there are actually more better reviewed superhero movies than there are not.
Exactly.
Or just comic movies in general. The bad ones are like, Elektra and Howard the Duck and the Fantastic Fours and Batman and Robin, Batman Forever, Steel, Catwoman.
Well, and people trash some of these, and like the Punisher, the last with Ray Stevens. I fucking had a blast with that movie. I seen that in theater, and I was fucking cracking up, and like, this is what I want from a Punisher movie. Just watching him blow people up, and that's the Punisher. That's what I want. I don't want Frank Castle drinking vodka and being sad in his room like the Thomas Jane one.
I watched the last Punisher movie with you. I did not like it. Have since revisited it, and I fucking love it now.
It's because it's so dumb that it's good.
Part of it was that I listened to a podcast in which the director was interviewed about it. It was and like it was so interesting to listen to her talk about it. It was like her and Patton Oswalt, because Patton Oswalt loved it. And
as he should have.
Yeah. And so like I was like, well, maybe I should give this movie another shot, and I watched it again and I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, I was totally wrong about that movie. And I don't have a thing against the Thomas Jane Punisher either.
Me neither. But you know what I mean? Like I didn't mind it, but that's what I want to see in a Punisher movie.
Right, yeah,
Ray Stevens running around and blowing people up and shooting grenades in through doors and blowing everyone up in a room and and it actually had like a major bad guy with Jigsaw. It had, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like the one had the Russian, but he wasn't used nearly as much as he should have been. So it had the elements of that fun, not taking itself serious superhero movie. Because Jigsaw's walking around like with this ridiculous Italian accent, and then he has this like crazy brother that is terrible. Like the guy playing it is absolutely terrible.
Right.
But it's just that's exactly a comic book movie. It's fun. It's over the top. It's not taking itself serious.
And everyone in that movie is a great actor.
Exactly.
But it comes off so horrible.
Exactly.
But so I changed my opinion on that one. But did that come out before Iron Man?
I think so.
So
it was close. They were definitely like a year. Either which way, they were like probably a year off.
So that one was actually because that one was Marvel's first movie that they could put out.
Yeah,
like under their ownership, as a movie studio. That one was the first one that they did. It just didn't. It wasn't successful to put that out there. But anyway. I think at this point now, though, there are more good superhero movies than there are bad. And it's still ridiculous that, every time, if, the Wolverine or Man of Steel comes out and both of those are, critically acclaimed, I bet, the first thing any reviewer is going to say is like, well, superhero movies are usually shit, but this one's okay.
Yeah.
And it's like, fuck you.
Yeah. It's like you said, how many good ones do you
Right.
guys need before you sit there and say, superhero movies, most of them are good.
Right, yeah.
The age of the superhero movies being crap has been over with
For a while.
quite a while.
Yeah. And yeah, there are some that are going to be bad.
Yeah.
Because that's bound to happen. It's the rule of averages. Like look, how many movies come out a year and how many of those are bad? I would say 90% of them.
Oh, yeah. And on superhero movies, I really think it's a matter of taste.
Yeah.
I mean, like, people hated the Daredevil movie. I didn't mind the Daredevil movie.
I did not either.
You know what I mean?
I saw it in the theater.
Me too.
Opening day. Said, well, this was really good.
Yeah.
Then I watched the director's cut and said, this is even better than that one. Mm-hmm. I think it's a legitimately good movie.
It's a good movie.
Yeah.
And then you do have some bad ones. Like, I think that Elektra, they had an idea. It just was poorly executed. There was not enough character development to, you knew Elektra from Daredevil. So if you already seen that, you kind of already had an investment in Elektra. You were already knowing and liking the character. But, like, none of the bad guys were ever flushed out. They just seemed very, like, what was their purpose? You know what I mean? And that was the problem with that movie. Again, was a script issue. But again, I'm sure there's somebody out there that's like, oh, I loved Elektra. You know what I mean? Elektra was fun. Elektra was great.
I never saw it because it looked like a turd and I wasn't going to see it or give any money to it. And, and that's the thing. Like, just because I like comics and superheroes doesn't mean that I'm going to
see every one of them.
Exactly. And I think if you're the type of person, like, well, I should because comics.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
The reason I seen Elektra is because Typhoid Mary was one of the bad guys.
Yeah.
And I always liked her character with the Daredevil stuff and all that. And I was like, oh, Typhoid Mary's going to be in this. This is awesome,
I avoided the Fantastic Four movies. I didn't want to see those because I thought they looked awful. The only reason I saw those was because the first one was on TV while I was at my parents' house one day. And I was like, well, I got nothing else to do.
Might as well watch it.
Yeah, and then the second one I was never going to see, but then one day I went over to my parents' house and my mom had just rented it. And she was like, well, we're going to watch this. I was like, well, I got nothing else to do. And I didn't like either of them, but I also didn't pay for them either.
Yeah. See, like I said, I didn't see the second one in the theater because I was working a bunch when that came out and I could never get to the theater. But like the first one I seen and like I said, I didn't mind it. Like it has flaws, but I had a lot of fun. I thought, Dr. Doom was a little ridiculous in it and, Dr. Doom's one of my favorite bad guys. So, I was kind of wanting more third person talking, you know what I mean? And that kind of stuff. And I didn't get it, but I still was fine with it,
Right. I just, but, overall, it's just like, like I don't get the continuing, of the whole marginalization of comics and superheroes. Yeah. Especially when there's so much evidence now to point to and say that, oh, it's not what we think it is.
Yeah.
How many comic headlines are going to come out that are still like, biff, zoom, pow.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
That era's been gone a long time.
Right. Yeah.
And if they would ever look into anything that they write about, these modern journalisms and all this other stuff, then they would understand Bip Powell and all that is from a golden age a long time ago.
40, almost 50 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. I can't think of any modern superheroes, and I'm talking from Marvel or DC, that have Biff Powell, unless you're talking about the new Batman 66 comic that's getting ready to come out. I'm sure that'll have that.
Well, they all have sound effects.
Yeah.
And that's a part of the language of the comics.
Yeah.
And those are always going to be there.
Like Snicket for his claws.
Right, yeah. I mean, yeah. But yeah, they're all taking it from the Batman show.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which, has been off the air for almost 50 years now.
Yeah.
I don't get it. But anyway.
But that says something for that show. That it's ingrained in people's minds that much.
And that show's a comedy.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, when you're a kid, you watch it because it's superheroes on the screen, and they're alive and real, and you're fascinated.
And it's fun.
Right. But then, and then, you know, it's like I read Grant Morrison talk about, or write about this, is that like when you're a little kid and you watch the Batman TV show, the 60s Adam West show, you know, it's like your heroes are living and breathing and they're there and they're physical and you can see them, you know, moving and talking and breathing and, you know, doing stuff, and it's just, you know, that's what you want. So you know, that's the whole superhero aspect. It's bright and it's colorful. Then when you're an adult, or not even an adult, when you're like a teenager, you'll watch the Batman 60s show and you're like, well, this is bullshit because Batman is dark and brooding and, you know, he's got a, you know, revenge and, you know, his parents are dead and this goes as a slap in the face to all of it. And then when you're an adult, you go back and you watch, it's like, oh, they made a comedy, and this is actually pretty funny.
Yeah.
You know, it's a parody of you know, comics and superheroes, and, you know, you appreciate it for that again.
And it's a moving, living comic.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that was the point of it.
Right.
It was, I mean, you know, when it comes to the Joker, Cesar Romero will always be the number one Joker to me, because for the time era that he represented, that was the Joker alive. Like, you've seen Cesar Romero, and that was the Joker alive. I mean, the Joker, I'm sorry, wasn't looking like a goth kid with long, stringy, dyed hair and, you know, scars on his face, and mumbling about, you know, I'm sorry, people, that wasn't the Joker.
I think that's what it is that, you know, it goes back to the whole, you know, teenager thing, and I think fandom in general seems to... You know, like for me, like my musical taste, I'm pretty much stuck at the age of like 19 as far as like what I like musically. Like it's very hard for me to hear something new that I could really latch onto. And like there's very few new bands that I've ever really gotten into in like the past 10 years or so. And I think sometimes like you just latch on to like whatever it is that you like, to like between the ages of like 14 and 20.
Oh yeah.
And I feel like comic fandom as a whole seems to have latched on to those teenage years, which is like the mid to late 80s and early 90s of just everything is just dark and
Frank Miller shit.
Right, yeah. And I mean, those things are good and they have their place, but you know, I don't think those should be representative of
everything.
Right, yeah. And I think even Frank Miller, who has fucking lost his mind in the past couple of years. But like his Batman stuff, you know, like the Dark Knight and the Dark Knight Returns and Dark Knight Strikes and stuff like that. Like I think he would even admit that he wrote those to be comedic in a way.
Yeah.
Because he was taking the Adam West version of Batman and then turning him into like this dark vigilante character.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, if you read those books with that in mind, you know, you can kind of see what he's going for there. But like everyone else just latched onto like the wrong aspects of it.
Yeah, he's dark.
Right, yeah. And so that's why, you know, like the Avengers movie and the Iron Man movies, you know, I feel like those are hopefully paving a new way.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's going to be hard to tell for a while as long as, like, you know, you have the other major comic company still onto the dark teenage years.
Yeah. And I think, again, on that, it just shows the age difference.
Yeah.
You know, for me and you, the Joker that we grew up with is the Cesar Romero.
Right.
Even the Jack Nicholson style Joker.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He was sadistic and he was mean-spirited, but he wasn't psychotic and over the top. You know,
right.
The first time I can actually remember him being psychotic and over the top would be Death in the Family.
Right.
Where the Joker actually became more scary. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I mean, and like, you know, when the first Batman movie came out, like, I latched onto the Joker with that, and, and I read up a bunch of old Joker stories, and there was quite a few stuff where he was
mean,
frightening, and
yeah, he was mean-spirited, but he wasn't overboard,
right?
You know, and then, you know, definitely modern comic fans who just are recently getting into it, you know, I'm sure the Heath Ledger Joker represents in their mind exactly what the Joker is like.
Right.
So I think that is where honestly where the comic world for movies is actually at. You have, you know, your old school guys mixing with these newer school guys, And these newer school guys, like you said, are stuck in this, like, everything's got to be brooding and everything's got to be this. And the older school guys are more of like, hey, look, the Avengers. Hey, that's fun. That's what we want. You know what I mean?
And it's like I think I was trying to mention earlier, like, you know, it also seems like there's a disconnect between the movie versions and the actual comic versions. You know, like you know, especially for Marvel. Because DC, the comics seem to be going the way that they want the movies to go.
Yeah.
And it's just not a lot of fun going on there.
No.
But the Marvel books, it just seems like, you know, like some of them are fun, some of them can be fun, but those are the ones that, like, don't sell well, you know, and, but, like, you know, the Avengers comic and the Avengers movie are, like, two different beasts.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know, you know, what the problem is there. But, yeah, it's nothing I really want to get into right now anyway, sorry.
You know, honestly, I have not picked up a new issue of any Marvel or DC, like a new issue of any of those probably in the last, I would be, Planet Hawk was the last new issues of anything that I've read from any of them. Because again, it's, a lot of them have lost their charm. Like Planet Hawk was a great storyline. The ending was a little, you know, they could have done something more. But my biggest problem with modern comics is how many epic events do we need in a row? You know what I mean? It's like nonstop now. And then it's like, well, you have to buy this issue to finish. And well, you need to get this issue because this ties in. And then you need to get, and after a while, it's like, I don't care, you know, that's what ended up happening. They're not fun for me. You know, I can understand why people still they're not fun for me. It's not fun to collect. I like going back and collecting the old stuff, the stuff that I remember, the stuff that I have fond memories of. And when comic books to me were comic books,
right?
I don't want my Captain America to look real. I want my Captain America to look like the Captain America I had on my PJs when I was a kid. Right. You know what I mean? That's what I want.
Well, it's like my big problem with Marvel mostly is like the event thing. You know, it is just one after the other anymore. And, you know, and I've learned to avoid that for the most part. Like, you know, and I managed to buy the books that I want to buy without buying any of that other crap. Because, you know, it turns out that most of the books that I like also relatively remain unaffected by those things. And I will say this, you know, Marvel currently has like two of my favorite books being published right now. And I'm honestly surprised that they're still being published because of that. But, you know, but like...
Which books?
Hawkeye and Deadpool. You know, they're just both sort of floating in their own, you know, bubbles without interacting really with the main Marvel universe, you know,
the bullshit.
Right, yeah. And, you know, the creators being allowed to do what they want to do with it and having freedom, and then, you know, it shows.
Until the Deadpool movie comes out, and then Marvel / Disney will fuck that up.
I think what's going to fuck that up is when the writers leave.
Yeah,
because the two writers working on Deadpool right now are one of them is a fairly famous and successful comedian, Brian Posehn, and his writing partner is also a comedy writer. So I'm sure, like, as soon as they leave, like, you know,
the humor is going to go
right, yeah, or at least not be able to stand up to what had come before it. And I'm not a Deadpool guy. Like, you know, the only reason I picked this up was because both those guys were writing it.
Yeah, and wanted to try it.
Right, yeah. But like you mentioned, like the thing about Captain America and the realism and things like that, you know, like the problem I think for me with that goes with the you know, DC has this thing where like every character is redesigned and they just have like these armor platings and, you know, lines and seams and high collars, and you know, the Marvel characters seem to be going that way too, but for them it's to match what they look like in the movies. And, you know, like all these weird latches and buckles and shit. Yeah. And I think it's bad design, bad character design. But like, and I actually wrote this about on my blog the other day. It's like, you know, Jack Kirby, was like one of the he was the king. He was like one of the old greats of comics, and he introduced characters like Galactus and the New Gods and the Celestials and all that, and they are characters that have like armor plating and lines and seams, and they glow, and they have the Kirby crackle, and they just look like these majestic beings. But now you've got characters like Batman, and his costume has seams and armor plating, and it occasionally will glow. And like, so what is there to set him different from like this character who is supposed to be like a god?
Yeah, powerful, all powerful.
Right. Yeah. And so, like just this, weird fad of like trying so hard to modernize the costumes of all these iconic characters, like they're ruining some of the specialness of other characters by doing it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm sorry, like, when I want to see Superman, I want to see the traditional Superman. I don't want to see, I understand for the movies they change it up. I understand that. Cause, Christopher Reeves could pull it off, but I think in a modern generation, the costume wouldn't look good.
I thought Brandon Routh did a fine job looking.
It did. And again, they updated it. You know what I mean? And they made it look.
But, at the same time, it was still his traditional costume.
Yeah. It just was updated for the screen. It wasn't the spandex like it was for the Reeves movies.
Right.
But that's what I want to see. This, new 52 Superman look is ridiculous.
Yeah, Superman shouldn't need to wear armor.
No.
And it shouldn't be sentient armor, which I think it is apparently. Like, I saw a cover where it was like liquidy and forming around him like venom.
I mean, that's stupid.
Yeah,
I mean, that's absolutely stupid.
Right, yeah.
I mean, when I want my heroes, I want my traditional heroes.
Right. And
there's nothing wrong with tradition, and comics is almost like shunning tradition. Like, tradition is like no, that's old. We need to like you said, we need to modernize. We need to make it hipper for the kids. Well, I hate to tell them, kids ain't reading it.
Kids aren't reading it, but I mean, and I don't know. Like, I hate to sound like a curmudgeon about it, when we're talking about this, but I mean, we are.
Yeah.
But there is a problem in that kids aren't reading the comics, and I don't think giving Superman a high collar,
it's going to bring them in.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, and obviously I don't have the answers on how to fix comics. If I did, I would fucking do it.
Yeah, we'd be working for one of them at this point.
Right, yeah. So Iron Man 3.
I liked it.
I liked it a lot, too.
Like I said, it's on par. Like, I liked all of them. Solid. It's a solid trilogy at this point. It's a very solid trilogy.
Like you said earlier, I'm sure Downey will get his renegotiated contract.
Yes. And honestly, Gwyneth Paltrow did a fantastic job, and I think they gave her a little bit more time to shine.
I thought she was kind of a weak spot in this movie.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I actually liked a lot of the. There's some stuff toward the end I can't say that I was kind of but the whole beginning parts of him and her interacting, I liked. I liked a lot.
I liked their interaction. They do have a good chemistry.
Very good.
I liked her a lot better in Iron Man 2. And she was pretty good in Iron Man 1 as well.
Well, I think she's less stressed in Iron Man 2.
Well, yeah.
I think at this one, I think they're trying to show that she's overworked. She's, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I don't think it ever comes off. And I think that her role in this movie seems drastically reduced to sort of just being the damsel in distress or the thing for Tony to get jealous about,
Yeah, run around with sports bras.
Right, which is fun. She's not unattractive. But as in a previous episode of Gutter Trash, we discussed that she is the cause of the end of the world, as the prophecies explain.
Wow. Poor Gwyneth.
Yeah, well, she was patient zero. The movie Contagion. And honestly, like, even her very brief role in Avengers, I thought was way better than her role in this movie. But she does have a couple scenes to shine, and they're pretty good.
Yeah.
If I had to point like one thing that I liked the least, and when I say that, I don't mean that I didn't like it at all. Like very little time spent in armor.
Yeah.
For an Iron Man movie.
Yeah.
Like I don't mind it. Like obviously, I could watch Robert Downey Jr. do pretty much anything, but it's an Iron Man movie.
Yeah.
Let's see a little bit more.
The key word is Iron Man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not what, because let's say the suit's in it.
Yeah.
I agree. The person I seen it with was, I went to the theater with, Josh Weinberg.
Fucking Weinberg.
Well, it was funny because right afterwards, that was the first thing when I said, how'd you like it? And he said, I wish he was in the suit more.
Yeah.
That was the first thing out of his mouth. The first thing he said was that exact thing you just said. And I was like, agreed. You know what I mean? Like, but again, we're not saying that it's bad.
No, yeah.
But that is one complaint that I would say.
Right.
And my other complaint is it doesn't give anything away. It doesn't say anything negative. Is Ben Kingsley's voice, when he's the Mandarin voice, is silly as shit.
I don't think so.
Oh my god. I laughed in the movie theater, honestly, when I first seen the trailer and he's doing that "you'll never see me." I was like, oh my god, please tell me this is a joke.
Honestly, I really liked that.
I like the aspect of some elements of that character.
Right.
I think is really interesting. But
no, yeah, like his voice I thought was I don't know, it seemed appropriate for what it was, and I don't know, like there's it had a cadence to it that I really enjoyed.
It was silly. I mean, it was silly.
Yeah. No, yeah, I enjoyed every aspect of Ben Kingsley in this movie. So yeah, yeah. I mean, it was better than the cartoon we just watched.
Yes, we just seen the original Iron Man 3. That was a bonus feature on the Doctor Strange DVD.
Yep, it was about a 17-minute cartoon.
With the satellite that the Mandarin was controlling.
Yes.
To take out Tony Stark, who was losing power in his suit.
And destroyed his home.
Destroyed the home.
Tony was thought dead.
Thought dead.
And then there was a battle between Iron Man and the Mandarin.
Yep. Which left the Mandarin riding a rock to get away from the Chinese army.
Yep.
It was pretty amazing.
Great. Yep. And Happy Hogan and Pepper Potts were in it.
Yes, they were.
This was like 30 years ago, more than that, 40, 50 years ago, the preliminary version of Iron Man 3.
Yeah, we're pretty sure the writers and everybody involved in that had to watch this cartoon.
I'm pretty sure, yeah. It was pretty amazing. It's one of those old 60s Marvel cartoons, which is basically just an animated version of a comic, which your mileage may vary.
Yeah, and they had very good voice acting on.
They did, actually.
They were good in a humorous, fun way.
Yeah.
So, since we're on the topic of superheroes and superhero movies, what is your top favorite superhero movie? Like, what is the one that you instantly when you think of superhero movies, you're absolute favorite?
Didn't really want to get into any new topics right now. But fuck, I don't know. Yeah, you stumped me. I guess. No, yeah, I can't answer that.
Because it's really hard to narrow down, I'm sure. Because, for me, Christopher Reeve's Superman 2, amazing. The whole stuff with General Zod, love it. I like the last Incredible Hulk movie with Edward Norton quite a lot. I like the X-Men 1 and 2. Those are awesome movies.
Okay, X-Men First Class.
First Class was great. Yep. First Class was great.
That would be my all-time favorite at this point.
And I'm excited about them combining with this Days of the Future Past of taking, the X-Men trilogy characters, Halle Berry and all that, and mixing them in with the first class characters, that's going to be awesome.
Hopefully.
I don't know. Bryan Singer's back, so there is hope. I think
I'm keeping my expectations low.
Of course.
Because Bryan Singer was minimally involved in X-Men First Class.
Mm-hmm.
He was only the producer, and that was a great movie. Probably my favorite of the X-Men movies, and I liked the first two a lot.
I think it's on par. My favorite was 2, and I think it's on par with 2 for me. It's like they're like
2 is a strong number 2 for me.
Yeah, because that's a great film.
Yeah. I think that's where I go with that, because I did not like any of the Hulk movies. Oh, that's not true. I liked the Ang Lee version a little bit.
Really?
Yeah. I did not like the Edward Norton version.
The Ang Lee one had potential. It should have been shorter. That's one of its biggest, I think, biggest downfalls is it's too long, and there's a lot of drawn out parts that if they would have made it a little tighter, I think it would have flowed better, and I honestly think it would have done better critically and theatrically if they made it a little shorter, a little tighter. Right. I think it was just overly long for no reason, and I think that was its downfall.
Yeah.
Because when you want to see Hawk, you want to see Hawk destroy stuff, and there was too much time in between it of a lot of drawn out talky scenes that could have been trimmed.
Right.
And I think it could have, it had the potential of being, a really solid summer hit movie where I think it could have done better.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, a lot. I know some people that did, and I know a lot of people, trash it. But
So I just got an email.
Woo!
It is from Jason Young.
Oh God.
Yeah. It's got an audio attachment to it though. So I guess I should probably play it.
Yeah, we should probably listen.
Yeah. So
maybe he's going to apologize.
Maybe, I don't know. I guess we'll find out what he's got to say. So here's Jason from the Pinko Communist Canada.
All right. Okay. I think he's out of range. I'm supposed to pick a book. I'm gonna pick. What am I gonna pick? I think I'm gonna pick I'm gonna pick Razor. The first 120 issues of Everett Hartso's Razor. That's right. That's it. No, I'm just kidding. We're gonna read Todd, the Ugliest Kid on Earth, by somebody whose name I can't remember. And yeah, it'll be awesome. I hope. I've never read it. Alright, that's it. Bye-bye.
Huh.
So are you actually gonna do this?
I don't know. I mean, like I spent, the first 10 minutes of this show talking about how Jason was not a part of this anymore, and here he is sending me a choice, his pick for the next episode.
Yeah, but he kind of delivered it very creepily, like he was the Unabomber or something.
A little bit, yeah, but I mean, he's always had kind of a Unabomber vibe.
That's
anyway.
True. That's true. Maybe that's what he's doing. Maybe he's getting to Canada to absorb the gutter trash and to cleanse the mind so he can come back and deliver a powerful performance.
Huh.
He is a hippie.
Yeah, he is a hippie. That does sound like a very hippie-ish thing to do. First of all, the presumption that I would even allow him back, is just the balls on that guy, right?
Yeah. Well, to send an email while we're here doing this live,
right?
Come on.
That is kind of bullshit.
He did that on purpose.
Yeah. And then, to pick something for me to read without giving me the option to just veto it.
Ooh.
We have veto options on the show.
Ooh.
And, I can't exercise it right now because he's not in the country. I mean, I don't know. Should it sounds like he wants to come back to the show.
It does. Well, the one thing that we have to take a look at is
Hang on, I think one of us might be arrested here, sir.
Oh, no.
Okay.
No, we're cool. The one thing that, in his message, he said he's out of range.
Uh-huh. I mean, yeah, right?
Is Jason kidnapped?
I mean, if he was kidnapped, wouldn't you think that if he had the ability to send me an email with an audio attachment, that he would have asked for help?
Maybe. Maybe that was his call for help.
Is this coded?
This could be coded.
But what if it's not? What if he's just being a dick?
But who was it that he was talking about that's out of the room?
I don't know.
See, I mean,
That is
you got to break that down. I mean, is Jason crying for help at this point?
Is it the president of Canada? Does Canada even have a president?
I don't think so.
They have a prime minister, don't they?
I think so.
Yeah. Is it the prime minister of Canada that he is avoiding?
I don't know.
I mean, okay. So I would assume. So let's hope for the best. Someone's out of the room. Someone's out of range.
Yeah.
He is picking a comic.
Yeah.
For the next episode for me to read, which is a comic that I don't own.
So hopefully he's back to lend you this comic.
Right. So should I let him back?
You know, it hurts me to say, but he is an original member.
Right.
You know, I think you need to open up your heart, Eric Schonborn, and allow Jason Young back. He tried. He's here in spirit.
Right, yeah.
You know, and he sent a message. So technically he's a part of this show.
Right. You know, I mean, I had plans for rotating cast members, and then you were going to come back at some point.
Yeah. I can still come back.
Yeah, I guess you could, but then he's going to be here still.
May make it awkward now.
Right. I mean, before he left, he abandoned me, like, I did consider him to be, like, one of my very best friends. Like he's almost like a brother to me in some ways. But
the bond. There was a bond.
There's a definite bond. And you know, I do a podcast with his girlfriend, and we often refer to him as our boyfriend. And I mean, you know, that's a joke, but, you know,
you love the guy.
I love the guy. There is an element of truth in that. But, you know, I mean, there's also the hurt.
The abandonment.
Yes. Yeah.
The abandonment.
He has hurt me in my heart and my soul by leaving this great country of ours. And I don't know that I have the capacity to forgive
that quick
at this point in time.
Well, how about you ask your listener, we asked Brian,
right,
to send you a message and say, should he take Jason back? Or should it be rotating cast? Who would be next week's guest? Who did you have planned?
If Jason wasn't going to show up, I was probably going to have Brian John Mitchell on as a guest.
Okay, so Brian, this question's for you. Do you want to be a guest, the guest host with Eric, or do you want to see Jason back?
Right.
You have to email Eric and let him know.
Right. Well, the thing is, like, you know, it is a podcast, which means, like I'm not even going to put this up for, like, a few days now.
Of course.
And Brian may not even listen to this right when it downloads.
Well, Brian better.
Which is a shame. He should. But I understand if he can't. So, like, I may not get that response in time, and Jason might be back by then.
Ooh.
And I'm gonna have to give him an answer before I even hear anything from Brian.
Oh, man. So, Brian, you gotta make this quick, brother.
So, I'm unfortunate. Okay. I'm gonna take Jason back for one more episode.
Okay. Give him one last shot.
Right. I mean, you know, this is the second time that he has done this to me, where he has just abandoned me, and I've had to make do. You know, like, you know, I mean, at least this time I didn't have to do this by myself.
Yeah.
But, I'm gonna give him one more chance.
Make sure he apologizes.
And I'll let him come back for next week's episode, in which I guess we will review Todd, the Ugliest Kid on Earth.
Okay.
A comic I don't have.
By an artist we don't know.
Nope.
And a writer we don't know.
Nope. I know it's published by Image Comics.
Image Comics.
And hopefully when Jason comes back, if the United States government allows him back into the States.
If he shows back up.
Right.
I mean, this could be a prank.
Yeah, it's true. But if, there's a lot of ifs here. And if he has those comics for me to read, then we will review Todd, the Ugliest Kid on Earth, on next week's episode of Gutter Trash.
So this could be the last time that Jason Young could be on the show.
Could be.
Or it could be the rebirth of Gutter Trash the way it used to be.
It could go either way.
Oh, man.
It's exciting.
It's very exciting.
I'm not necessarily sure it's exciting in the good way. I mean, I've got,
You could possibly be firing him.
I mean, I've got butterflies in the stomach right now.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's the anticipation of having to wait. You know what I mean?
Right.
To see if Jason's going to come back. And if by the end of the show, if you allow him to continue to be the co-host. I mean, this...
I guess we'll find out after next week. Then.
Oh, man.
All right. Well, wish me luck.
Good luck. Good luck. I mean, you're going to need it.
All right. Well, thanks.
No problem.
Thanks for being on the show.
Oh, no problem at all.
Thanks for watching a shitty movie with me.
No problem at all.
I'll talk to you later.
Sounds good.
Probably the week after next. Thank you for listening to Gutter Trash. You can subscribe to the show from guttertrash.net or from iTunes and leave us a review. Visit guttertrash.net for email information, links to our Facebook and Twitter pages, and for other podcasts and websites in the Gutter Trash Network. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.